Setting up Facebook ads campaigns is easy, and there's plenty of videos on YouTube showing you how to do it. But for some reason, everyone seems to leave out one of the most important things, and that's how do you actually optimize your Facebook ad campaigns that you've now set up. There are some videos on this, but a lot of the advice is outdated, mainly because the videos themselves were shot a long time ago. But there are some people who are still preaching this incorrect advice to this day. So how can you trust that the advice I'm going to give is correct? Well, I manage 7 figures of ad spend every single year across a number of e-commerce clients. And right now, all those accounts are scaling and hitting their KPIs. So something must be working in the things that I'm going to show you. In the video today, we're going to go over what are the actual outdated methods in case you're doing them, what are the only 3 optimizations that you should be making, and also, of course, how do you actually make those optimizations? What's the guidelines for those? So we'll jump into the slides now and I'll show you everything you need. But if you want to fast track your way to Facebook ads performance, then you can check out my full Facebook ads course in the description. It's called Ads Ace, and it's going to give you everything you need to systematically go from beginner to advanced with Facebook ads in a very short period of time. So here we have some of the ways that people traditionally would optimize their ad accounts, and I want you to know them so that you can identify and see whether you're doing some of them. They're not all wrong or outdated, but I just want to cover all of them first. And then you get a picture of what the landscape was like previously. So a lot of people, pausing ads and ad sets, that was a common thing to do. Duplicating campaigns and ad sets as well. So if things were tailing off in performance, what we used to do was we just simply duplicate it to give it a refresh and pause the thing that tailed off in performance to see if that would rejig the audience and make it work again. Or we'd also duplicate things, crank up the budget and scale horizontally. Targeting different audiences. If you have something that's working, you might try the same things on different audience, different interests. Or likewise, if you had something that stopped working, you might try the same thing that had been proven on one interest and try it on a different interest or something, or lookalike, whatever that audience may be. We had narrowing age or genders. We had excluding custom audience as well. Another thing you might try and do to optimize your actual performance, get rid of the dead weight, stop showing stuff to your existing customers or less engaged audiences. We also would try selecting manual placements. A lot of the time you'd see certain placements having better ROAS or better CPA, and you would try and manually just drive all the spend to them and see if that would have a performance benefit to the actual campaign. And then finally, increasing and decreasing budgets. So one thing I want to say, traditional optimizations do not work in 2024. Like I said previously, not everything on that list is outdated, but a lot of it is outdated and just does not work. It's too granular. So what changed? Well, the introduction of iOS 14 killed this overly granular approach to Facebook ad optimization, because iOS 14 allowed users to opt out of tracking, which significantly reduced the amount of user data that was available to the platform. Okay, so you're trying to optimize on data that you don't actually have. Plus, the algorithm has since improved, and the volume and style of content on the actual platforms people are consuming has evolved and is vastly different from where it was when people were using all these manual sort of media buying techniques to optimize their campaigns. Now it's very heavily creative focused. So how do you optimize in 2024? Well, there's only 3 ways that you should be optimizing your Facebook ad account in 2024. That's to increase and decrease the budget. The second way is to pause creative tests, ad sets. And the third thing is to move your best test ad sets or best test ad post IDs into one ad set of all the winners, having them all in one place. That's really the only 3 optimizations that you should be doing. The rest is all just generating creatives and then working on your creatives. Okay, it's very creative heavy now. The actual media buying optimizations are secondary to your creative and your overall strategy and just having a good product, having a good business. Okay, so how do you actually increase and decrease the budget? What's some rules around that? So I've got a little flow here that's going to help guide you with how I do it. This is not exactly how I do it. There is some I'll look at the data, I'll look at the account, and I'll make a judgment on how I do this, but it's just to give you a bit of a guide to see what kind of structure you could have, or what regularity as well you should have in trying to determine how you optimize your budget. Okay, so I'm going to look at it 3 times per week. You know, in my own brand, I look at 1 time. On client accounts, I look at 3 times a week because they've got much higher spend, there's more going on. But you could look at it every day as well if you like. I mean, I will look at it every day, but not to optimize. I'll just check in on it. But yeah, you could be optimizing every day if you like. But 3 times a week is a good guide. So let's say on Monday, you've hit your KPI in the last 7 days, and you've hit your KPI in the last 30 days, those 2 look backs. If that is a yes, you can scale the budget 10 to 20%, okay? And that's simply just a case of going into the campaign budget and adjusting it by an increase of 20%. There's a setting that you can do that allows you to do that. You don't have to manually calculate what is 20% increase, okay? If you're not hitting those 2 things, so it doesn't matter if you're hitting one, if you have to be hitting both of them, then you can scale back the budget 10 to 20%. Now, that one especially is a bit of a guide. You know, don't scale back every single week just because you're having a bad week or something. Use your own judgment on that, right? If it's just a bad week, you know, if there's other things telling you, then hey, just wait a week. Don't change the budget. Don't scale it back. Don't increase it either. Just wait, okay? So I'm not saying always do this. It's just like a guideline, okay? But if it is bad, you know, and it's been bad for like 2 weeks or something in a row, I'd definitely be scaling that back 10 to 20%, okay? And I'm saying 10 to 20%. You want to match the increase and your decrease scaling percentage, okay? So if you're scaling by 10%, decrease by 10%, obviously, right? On Wednesday and Fridays, you're going to have another sense check. You're going to be looking, is the last 7 days hitting KPI, and is the last 1 day hitting KPI? So yesterday, effectively. The day I'm looking at it, is my yesterday done well, and is the last 7 days doing well? Okay, then I'm going to increase the budget 5 to 10%. And vice versa, I'm going to decrease the budget by 5 to 10% if it's not. Again, with experience, I might not follow that strictly. I might go, hey, we didn't do so well yesterday, but actually the last 7 days is looking great. Let me push it a bit more. This just is a judgment call. It depends on your experience, but hey, here's a guide for you. So like I said, don't use this as a guide. Use this as a guide. Don't be too anal. Sometimes just hold spend flat and wait to see what happens. The other thing I want to point out is when I'm talking about KPI, I'm not talking about like a Facebook specific KPI. I'm talking about your MER or your CAC for the business, right? That's what you want to be looking at because it's going to fluctuate as a platform a lot. And with your email, with your organic stuff, with your Google, if you're running Google, you know, TikTok, whatever other stuff you're doing, that's going to make it very complicated if you're just looking at your channel performance. You want to be making these decisions on the overall and then pushing more traffic based on what you're seeing, okay? Because at the end of the day, we're just trying to get a 30-day. We're trying to get like a monthly win. It doesn't really matter too much what's happening week to week, right? It's going to fluctuate. So when would you be pausing things? The second type of optimization. Well, the only way you're going to be pausing if you follow my structure is to pause the creative test ad sets. And you're going to be pausing those creative test ad sets if it doesn't draw at least 40% of campaign spend, as well as hitting your target CPA, or if you're measuring on your ROAS, you can base it on that as well, but I like to go with CPA. The only other place you'd be pausing something would be in your winners ad set. So you're going to have all those winning post IDs you put into the winning ad set, but over time, some of those are going to fatigue or they're going to just drop off as you find something better than them and you put it into that ad set. So you'll pause them if they're consistently having lower CPA, or again, ROAS, if you're measuring on that, than the average of that ad set. So the average of the winner ad set, if a select ad is consistently performing poorer than that, you're going to want to pause it, and that's optimizing that ad set, okay? But again, don't just do this on 1 week. You know, if you've had something running for 3 months doing well and it's having a bad week, give it a little bit more of a chance to assess if it's actually going to drop off or something weird's just happening. You know, check the comments in case there's anything bad, whatever, and then you can decide what you're going to do, right? And then finally, when to move stuff to the winners. So if one of your test creative ad sets is drawing 40% of spend from the main CBO campaign budget, and it's hitting your KPI CPA, or again ROAS, then you're going to grab that post ID and you're going to move it to the winners ad set. So if that makes no sense to you, you have no idea what I'm talking about, you're going to want to go and watch that video I've put below where I talk to you exactly, or demonstrate this actual strategy, this structure, very, very clearly, and you'll completely understand like how to do it and what I'm talking about here, okay? That's the end of the video, guys. Thank you for watching as always, and if you like it, definitely subscribe to the channel because there's going to be plenty more videos like this coming. And of course, if you're anything you're stuck with, you want help with, you want a video on, leave it in the comments and I'm going to get to it and try and address that for you. So yeah, until the next video, have a good week and see you very soon.